Aragua Train Attack in New York, dangerous ringleader arrested in the Bronx. This is the story of a violent gang crossing borders and wreaking havoc in communities thousands of miles from its origin. Today, we uncover the shocking arrest of Anderson Zambrano-Pacheco, a 25-year-old leader of the notorious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, who was apprehended in New York by heavily armed Homeland Security agents. This arrest is just the tip of the iceberg in a battle against one of the fastest-growing international criminal organizations. How did Tren de Aragua infiltrate the United States? How dangerous is their reach? And what does Zambrano-Pacheco's capture mean for the fight against transnational crime? Let's dive into the heart of this alarming case. Arresting Anderson Zambrano-Pacheco was no small feat. Early in the morning, Homeland Security investigations, supported by NYPD and DEA agents, descended on a Bronx neighborhood armed to the teeth. The operation, months in the making, culminated in the dramatic capture of one of Tren de Aragua's most dangerous figures. Federal agents described the takedown as a critical victory in their ongoing campaign against international gang violence. Zambrano-Pacheco's arrest isn't just about one man. It's about dismantling a brutal gang that has left a trail of destruction from Venezuela to New York City. To truly understand the gravity of this arrest, one must understand Tren de Aragua. Born in Venezuela, this gang began its operations in the early 2000s and quickly gained notoriety for its ruthlessness. Tren de Aragua has since extended its criminal empire far beyond South America, setting up operations in various countries, including the United States. In America, the gang thrives on fear, intimidation, and illegal enterprises. From drug trafficking to extortion, the gang dominates neighborhoods, often terrorizing residents into silence. Zambrano-Pacheco's role as a leader made him instrumental in exporting this violence to U.S. soil. The charges against Zambrano-Pacheco are staggering. In Aurora, Colorado, he and his gang were linked to a series of brazen crimes, including kidnapping, home invasion, and armed threats. Body cam and surveillance footage revealed the horrifying extent of their brutality as they stormed properties, using violence to achieve dominance. Police officials remarked that the gang operated with a level of audacity that shocked even seasoned officers. Victims recount being held at gunpoint, threatened, and forced into submission under the gang's reign of terror. His criminal activities left a lasting scar on Aurora and painted a chilling picture of Tren de Aragua's expanding reach. Zambrano-Pacheco's capture was no accident. It was the result of painstaking efforts by multiple law enforcement agencies. Federal authorities, including Homeland Security and ICE, worked alongside local forces like the NYPD, combining resources, intelligence, and manpower. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem played a direct role in overseeing the operation, highlighting its national significance. Such joint efforts underscore the complexity of combating transnational criminal organizations that operate seamlessly across borders. The Bronx raid was a significant step, but it is far from the end of the fight against organized crime. What does Tren de Aragua's presence in the United States mean for public safety? Gangs like this thrive in unassuming neighborhoods, taking advantage of vulnerable populations, often immigrants themselves, who fear reporting violent incidents to the police. Tren de Aragua's ability to establish itself in American cities showcases the challenges law enforcement faces when dealing with transnational criminal groups. Local residents feel the impact firsthand: home invasions, drug-related violence, and rising crime rates that leave communities shaken and unsafe. This arrest serves as a stark reminder of the urgent need to address this growing threat. Zambrano-Pacheco's arrest is a critical milestone, but Tren de Aragua remains a potent threat. Experts warn that the gang's expansive operations, deeply rooted in smuggling routes, extortion, and narcotics trade, could easily replace one leader with another. The gang's operational model is built to survive law enforcement crackdowns, making it one of the most resilient transnational organizations. This raises an urgent question: how do U.S. authorities keep the gang from rising again? Technology played a significant role in the Bronx operation. From surveillance drones to data monitoring systems, agents tracked Zambrano-Pacheco's movements meticulously. Details like his known associations, digital communications, and cash flow were key to pinpointing his location. The operation demonstrates the critical role of technology in modern law enforcement, allowing real-time monitoring that can outpace even the most sophisticated criminal networks. As news of Zambrano-Pacheco's arrest spread, debates about immigration policies flared up. Critics argue that better border protections could have prevented gang members like Zambrano-Pacheco from entering the United States in the first place. Supporters of comprehensive immigration reform, however, point out that vilifying immigrants oversimplifies the issue. The conversation about balancing compassion and safety has grown louder in the aftermath of this high-profile arrest. For the residents of the Bronx and Aurora, Colorado, the arrest brought both relief and lingering anxiety. Community leaders praised law enforcement for the successful operation, but emphasized that much work remains in rebuilding trust and safety for residents. Many local families, especially immigrants, continue to live in fear of retaliation from other members of Tren de Aragua. Zambrano-Pacheco's capture marks progress, but for these communities, the journey toward normalcy is far from over. Zambrano-Pacheco's arrest has lessons for law enforcement worldwide. Fighting transnational criminal organizations requires resources, cooperation, and a deep understanding of how these groups operate. As Tren de Aragua evolves, enforcement strategies must also adapt. This case underscores the importance of international partnerships in identifying and arresting criminals who exploit global connections. One of the biggest debates surrounding Zambrano-Pacheco's detention is whether to try him in Colorado, where many of his crimes were committed, or deport him back to Venezuela. Ethically, the question is complicated. Deporting him to Venezuela risks allowing him to return to an environment where Tren de Aragua is already entrenched in power structures. But keeping him in the United States for trial also raises concerns about the time and resources required for lengthy legal proceedings. The decision will shape the global conversation about dealing with transnational leaders like Zambrano-Pacheco. Homeland Security and other federal agencies have prioritized the battle against transnational organized crime. Their aggressive stance against gangs like Tren de Aragua represents a commitment to safeguarding American communities. However, officials caution that the fight will require additional resources, including funding, manpower, and advanced surveillance technologies. The battle against Tren de Aragua is far from over, and law enforcement agencies must remain vigilant. Zambrano-Pacheco's arrest is only one chapter in a much larger story. Tren de Aragua's operations in the United States and beyond signify an evolving threat that demands constant vigilance. Law enforcement won't win this war alone. It will require community involvement. Residents must feel empowered to report suspicious activities without fear of retribution. The fight against international gangs like Tren de Aragua hinges on trust, collaboration, and relentless action. The arrest of Anderson Zambrano-Pacheco in the Bronx is a reminder of how deeply international crime networks have infiltrated the United States. Tren de Aragua's reign of terror transcends borders, affecting cities, families, and everyday lives. While this victory is significant, it's just one battle in a much larger war. For every arrest, there are countless others waiting to rise in prominence. This case is a wake-up call for all of us, authorities, policymakers, and citizens alike. It's time to shine a light on these dark networks and ensure they have nowhere to hide. Together, we can make our communities safer. But the fight starts now. Stay alert, stay informed, and stay determined.